And just like that, it is season 2 of Catch Some Soulshine. Thank you for joining me on this journey of healing. Gotten so much insight from all the guests that I've had on season 1 that I want to dig a little deeper in season 2. This season, I'm going to focus on healing your mind, igniting your soul, and embracing creative living. And the reason behind that is because I know that you can live a joyful, inspired life if you take certain actions. I'm going to give you plenty of information to act upon. Grab a cup of coffee because it's time to catch some soulshine. Today, I am talking with Megs Crawford. She has a lot to say about ADHD because she has it, and she has infused some really powerful tools in her tool belt to help her organize and help you organize. And she's also overcome substance use with alcohol.
Why I'm doing what I'm doing is I want to show my girls that it's so worth living a life doing what you're passionate about and helping people and not just doing what you think you should do.
And I'm not saying that being angry or being sad or grieving is a bad thing, because I have shed so many tears in my lifetime, with all the loss that I've experienced. There's a time for it and there's a place for it. And it's not something that I choose to hold on to. If I'm
Yes.
feeling sad, shed those tears. Let it come out. Tears are so therapeutic. Have you ever sat down and you're looking through the movies and you're like, I need a good cry. I'm
Yes.
gonna watch that movie because I know it's gonna
Absolutely.
give me a good cry, right? It's just such a release.
Yeah.
Similar to the decluttering. When you release something, it may be painful and make you want to cry at first, but then once it's finished, such a light, freeing feeling that you can have from that.
It's empowering. It really is.
Mhm.
And I've
Mhm.
heard that the dopamine that you get from impulsively buying something and bringing stuff home into the home, which I also really like, you get that same
Mhm.
feeling from letting things go and getting things out of the house. That dopamine is something that we, as people with ADHD, we lack. And so we look for it in different ways to fill our cup. But if we find it in healthy ways, and part of it is letting go of stuff, we start to make more intentional decisions about what we bring into the home as well. It's a whole new way of living, which is really, oh gosh, it's so cool.
I don't have the extreme ADHD that a lot of people have, like my husband's ADHD, my son Brad, who actually passed away from an overdose, was severely ADHD. My son Brian is ADHD. So I watch a lot of things about that. And one of the things that I just saw, and I was like, I live this, I live with this, so I know. One of the best tools that you can teach someone with ADHD is what they said is, you get the ketchup out of the refrigerator, don't put it on the counter, put it back in the refrigerator. You get the tool out of the toolbox, don't lay it on the island, put it back in the toolbox right away. Because with the ADHD, normal people will set something down and then they'll put it away. With the ADHD brain, you're off and running to the next thing. And the
Yes.
next thing you know, you have all these items sitting out. And it's just such an overwhelming feeling to pick up and put away when it's all at the same time. So I
Yeah.
thought that was such a good tool. I shared it with all of them. I don't know if they'll listen, but putting something away immediately can really make a difference in clutter.
So I think with that, it's that is simple to know, but harder to enact, right? And so
Mhm.
one thing that I think helps with something like that is I'm in this group on Facebook. It's called Organizing an ADHD Home. And one
Mhm.
of the things someone just posted is don't put it down, put it away, right? Is exactly what you're
That
talking about.
Yes, that's the clip
So
I was talking about.
oftentimes, because there's so much going on in our lives, is we're not thinking about that. It's not like we're putting things down and saying, I'll come back to it later. we're unconsciously doing it because we are consciously doing kind of 80 things in our brain all at once. So when we start to develop mantras of saying, okay, I'm taking this ketchup out and I'm being mindful about being in the present moment and not stuck up in my brain, I'm repeating the mantra, okay, I'm not going to put this down, I'm going to put it away. And it's kind of getting more into a practice of that's what I'm doing. But things like tools, I know that if I'm getting out a project, I want to do the project so complete and so full of detail that it comes out to the utmost perfection. Like that is one of my superpowers is that when I'm creating something, I'm so creative that I'm going to recreate the world with this project that I'm doing. Sometimes when we're doing projects, have you ever heard of boxes?
No.
So ask people with ADHD and maybe you'll start to notice this, but uh okay, so it's a doom box, didn't organize, only moved. So basically we take this stuff that we have that we've created for a project or we have in our kitchen, but like we put it in a box or a bag or something to get it out of sight, out of mind, but then we don't do anything with it. We literally it's just sitting there. It's waiting for us to like put back in their places. But that's sometimes what happens with the tools. For my bathroom, I was doing a project a couple months ago and I had gotten this gold foil paper and I had paintbrushes and glue and I had paint and I had X-Acto knives all in this box. And I was like, oh my gosh, this darn doom box. I need to put something, I need to put it away. I need to get all of this stuff out of here so that I can complete this project. But that's sometimes what happens is that we're not able to complete the project to the grand composition that we've created in our head. And so we have to start putting blinders on. So that's something I teach my clients too is that if you're working on a project, you got to put the blinders on like a horse, right? And I'm literally showing you right now. Like
Hmm.
you're saying, I am only going to complete this project. That is my only job for whatever time frame you give it. I'm not allowed to start another project over here or do something with it over here. I'm going to complete this project that I know is mine right now. And then every time I'm done with it, I'm going to go put that stuff away. So you've got to establish these conscious rules around it because otherwise, if we just live our lives up here, which is what we do, and we're often not
Hmm.
really thinking about living in the moment, then it's hard for us to put all this stuff away. And then because we've gotten so much out, it's easy to say, like, put it back where it goes. But a lot of people with ADHD don't have a place for things. They are just putting things away so that we don't see it, so that things aren't seen. There's a lot that comes along with don't put it down, put it away. But if you're getting out 20 things, don't create a doom box, right? Like so there's a lot more that goes into putting things away when things go out. But I've found that when I've decluttered and when I have less and when I put blinders on and when I establish rules for myself and little mantras, like even as simple as leaving the house and saying phone, wallet, keys. That's what I do every single time I leave the house. I've been doing it for years now so that I have everything when I leave the house. But when you establish those rules for yourself and you have less, even when your house becomes a little messy, you look around and you say, I could easily clean this up in 15 minutes or less because everything has a place. I've kept myself limited to this one project or this one thing I'm doing. And it's going to be easier overall because I'm going to set a timer now to get it all done within. Those are the things that have really helped me and my clients get through. Like setting timers is so great. But yeah, that don't put it down, put it away. It's a little mantra you can keep in the back of your mind.
I love the idea of mantras. The last time I used a mantra faithfully was when I was training for the half marathon. And then I don't run, I jog, but that's another story.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
but I was training for this half marathon and I read a book about it because I'm an avid book reader. One of the things they suggested is to make a mantra that you say when you're getting in this hard part of your run where it's like, oh, I just want to quit. So my mantra was, I love to run, I love to run, I love to run. My shoes have wings. I am svelte. I am
Oh,
free. I can do this. I love to run. I love to run. I love to run. Now, I said that mantra years ago, like probably 15 years ago when I was training for that half marathon. and I still remember it.
Love that.
That's how important, and when I would get to that tough spot in the run, I would just start repeating that, and I would do it, like, in a cadence. That's why I made it in little sections with to go with
Yeah.
my running, and it works. It really does.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you brought up the thing about the mantras because I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
It's helpful for organizing. You can say, if you're having a troubled day, you can say, well, look how far I've come. I am an organized person. Whether your house is a mess or not, you get to decide that. No one's coming in and saying you're not organized. You get to decide if you're
Right,
organized. So you can
right.
say that, but even with drinking and things like that, giving up the things that you don't want to give up, making any change in your life, if you can say, I don't drink and I only need to get through today. Today is the day I need
Yes.
to get through. It's one day at a time, right? And
Mhm,
you can develop that mindset, and those mantras help you develop that positive mindset where you can choose joy, you can choose now, you can choose to live in abundance, where you get to accomplish those goals because of how you choose to live with the mindset that you're giving yourself. I love that you
mhm,
talked about that with running, because I think I've always said I hate running. And guess what? I hate running because I decided. But if I wanted to become a runner, I would have to change my mindset around that. I would have to use those mantras. I think that's huge. I've always wanted to be a runner, but not to
mhm,
the point where I've changed my mindset around it. And I think that's really powerful, right? And so I feel really good about walking. I love walking. And so that'll be my thing, and we get to
mhm,
choose everything that we
mhm.
develop that mindset around. I love that.
Absolutely. My granddaughter, I've started taking her on these walks. At first, I was like, "Oh," because we go around this walking path around the quarry near us, and it's just beautiful.
Oh,
Trees and wildlife, and it was 2 miles, and I thought to myself, "Ah, she's just that's gonna be a long ways for her," but y
right?
she loves it. And
Really?
during the walk, we talk about the birds. We'll look, "Oh, there's a bird," and we saw a fox one time. She'll collect little sticks along the way. My mindset would have been limiting, like, it's too far for her." If I shed that limiting belief and say, it's not too far. She
Yeah.
doesn't have a problem with it. It's me that was holding that back. So I have to think about my own limiting mindset beliefs too. Same with being an artist. I just really started making art. I mean, I've always loved art and I've loved making art and drawing and painting, but I never really considered myself a real artist because I didn't go to school for art. I went to school for nursing and I'm an and that's what I do, but a couple of years ago, I started making art and just sharing it on social media, and people started buying it. And I'm like,
Heck
"Huh,
yeah.
okay." So then I started selling more and more. I've sold a lot of art. I work with a coach because I think a coach is imperative, and so I love what you're doing because people need coaches, okay? I'm just putting it
Absolutely.
out there. You need a coach. I have
Yeah.
a coach. I coach people. You coach people. It is imperative to have a coach. Okay, that's my
Yes,
soapbox.
absolutely.
My coach said to me, "You are an artist and you believe it with every core of your body." So I started teaching Brindley at age 6. Well, you're an artist. And at first I would see her say, I'm not a real artist, Grandma. And I said, "Oh,
Oh,
yes, you are. You are an
yeah.
artist." And now she owns it. She's like,
Heck
I
yes.
am, I am an artist. Just like you, Grandma. I'm an artist. And how empowering to teach people you are what you say you are. I
Yes.
am a person in recovery, period. I
Mhm.
don't drink. I don't drink. I haven't drank in almost 20 years.
Wow,
It's been for
that's
me.
so impressive.
I don't use drugs or alcohol because my life is full and abundant and beautiful without that. But I
Yeah.
think what you talked about, using those mantras, and I love the fact that you talked about writing a breakup letter or a letter to alcohol and identifying the beauty, the things that you loved that it brought to your life, because when people relapse or use again or something, it's because of that strong connection and that emotional feeling that they had to the
Totally.
good things. A lot of times, people in some recovery programs say, well, my best day drinking is not as good as my worst day sober. And quite frankly, that's not true for me.
Yeah.
It's not, because I have had some really horrible days not drinking. But if you put it in the context of, I'm going to recognize that, yes, you did bring me some good memories and good things,
Yeah.
but my life as a whole can be so much better without any substance infused into it.
It's a powerful tool because you can actually say, "No, I'm fully done. I have to make this decision," and say, "I'm done with you." And almost objectify
Mhm.
it, right? Like, yeah, I'm personifying alcohol, and it's almost like I'm breaking up with a relationship that I had with it for so long. And I'm
Yeah,
saying, "No, I'm choosing to live a life without you now." And it feels really good and powerful to say, "Thank you for all of these times, and now I'm letting you go. And then I'm moving on without you." And it's those are big things, right? Even though that it was like an unhealthy relationship, but there was still goodness to it. We hold on to the things that feel good, but when they're bad, we don't necessarily know what to do with that. And it's a powerful tool. I highly recommend it to anyone who's considering that journey
yeah.
for sure.
And I love the fact that you considered a relationship. Like, we have relationships with everything, not just substances, but like you talked about, the things that we have in our space that clutter it up. Like,
Yeah.
yes, that brought me some positive things, but overall, the relationship has ended and it's time for me to let go and move on. Share with people where they can find you, different things that they may want to work on, such as ADHD organization or decluttering, or all the things that you help people with.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably share the most on TikTok, just regular, tips and tricks and things like that. And it's at organizing an ADHD brain. There's a period after each word. I'm also on organizing an ADHD brain, Spotify, podcast. So you're welcome to listen to me anywhere you listen to podcasts. My website is mindfulmegs.com. And the different things I do coach. I do a 3-month program where I coach you through the decluttering process on your own and how to approach it. And then I also have a digital decluttering session where we can actually just work one on one and I can help you work through just a space and what that looks like. And I can help you make some of the decisions that you would like to make in that space. And then in addition to that, I very infrequently do in person organizing, but it's still something I love to get my hands on. And so if you are in the Colorado area or even Massachusetts, because I'll do it when I go home to Massachusetts as well, I will do some in person organizing. But one thing I would say to leave you with, if you have ADHD and you're considering decluttering or just finding a way to get more organized in your life, understand that it is a lifestyle change. You can't become more organized in a day. And a 3 hour, or I don't know, sometimes when I get hyper focused, I can go clean a basement for 10 hours. That is not going to make all of the difference in your life. And if it goes back to what it was before, it is simply because 10 hours of just decluttering and organizing, but not creating systems for yourself, just means that you might have less, but now you might continue to do the same things without actually creating a system to have less moving forward. So there's more that goes into it. So start small, even if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. There are ways to be more organized, even in the smallest sense. And we have trouble with baby steps because we just want it all or nothing. And that's why we
Hmm.
procrastinate sometimes. But it is okay to start small and to do just a tiny bit each day. And I promise it adds up to a whole new world of living your life with less.
That's the society we live in, right? I want the whole enchilada right now, instead of realizing that it takes time and patience. And one thing that I can relate, I started making bread. And I got
Ooh.
this sourdough starter. I ordered it. It came from Italy and it was thousands of years old. And I made a couple of loaves and they were like, oh, didn't turn out. Didn't. And then I said to my husband, I'm done with this. This is way too much work. I'm not going to do it. I can't quit. I don't want to quit. I'm not a quitter. So I thought I'm going to just try this and give it time because I think what I was doing was rushing the rising process. So the
Yeah.
third time, I took my time and I just let it percolate and let it rise. And that bread turned out so good. And
Mm.
even though it was just as much work as the first two, I got such a sense of accomplishment from making that loaf of bread that it's my new thing now. That's the thing. We can't expect to get everything right here, right now. But if you infuse these little tiny baby steps into your life, you're going to have so much reward from it.
It reminded me of something I said to my sister the other day because she was asking me, I've been working with a lot of new technology after leaving the corporate world. And she was like, how did you get better at this? How did you get good at it? Because I wouldn't consider myself like a pro or anything in this specific instance. But I said, well, I was brave enough to be bad at it first. I was
Yeah.
brave enough to say that I'm gonna suck at this, actually. And then you said another mantra in there. You said, I'm not a quitter. And that's another thing you hold true to yourself. Like, try something and fail. In fact, in one of my last podcasts, I said, I hope you try this and I hope you fail miserably because I hope that you then take that and learn from what you did so that you can try it again and not fail as badly the next time. And that's about organizing. It's about quitting anything or making any change in your life. Be so brave that you're going to suck at it first. Be so brave that you're just not going to be any good so that you can find the way to be good at it. Gosh, it just feels so good to see the growth and see where you've come from that you can be so proud of that.
Again, check her out on all the information, and I'll have that linked in the comments. Thank you, Meg.
Thanks, Dawn.
What a powerful conversation with Megs Crawford. It's really so much more than decluttering. It's about reaching out, grabbing your purpose, and making a positive change in the lives of others. I hope you are as inspired by this conversation as I was. If you need some help with organization, please reach out to Megs. It's time to get organized, declutter, let go so that you can be open to receive. And please, once again, share this with your friends because you can be of service to someone else. I'll see you next week.